seldom the case that I find myself on a bus with my friends. But more seldom an experience for me has been my spine falling out from my back. Indeed, I could say with some confidence it has never happened in my lifetime. Therefore, I'll call it a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I was surprised that while this happened, my awareness was maintained. I didn't think it could happen. I would go so far as to say I thought it impossible. But there it was, my spine having fallen out of my back, and me still there with my friends on the bus. Moments later, I felt worried. But I also felt nothing. How could I be worried without a spine, I thought. I showed my out-of-body spine to my friends, and they took it quite well. They weren't worried at all about the whole happening. In fact, given their expressions, they took it to be entirely natural. They showed much interest. Good news! I see my favorite university professor approaching me. This is a professor I admire for his modern approach to really everything. He tells me I'm failing his class. He begins an inquiry into why I'm not living into my highest potential, which I must add is a hard thing to hear from someone you admire. I respond in a deflective manner, not exactly lying about my past, but also not telling the whole historical truth either. In other words, I'm skirting around the real issues. The real issue being my living into my highest potential. When the conversation finished, I realized in a flash I should have been speaking objectively and logically. Instead, I used shifty-eyed tactics to dodge what he was saying. It could have been a truly transformative inquiry into my actions and why I had been living the way I had been living. In the dark, stark visions will survive our glowing walls. In my journeys, I've hit a roadblock, or quite literally a giant wall. I consider myself one ready to break boundaries, and this appears to be an archetype of a boundary, if you will, as it's a real wall. I think it right I should climb it, instead of spending exorbitant amounts of time trying to find an alternative route. I climb with some caution, but probably not the level of caution I should have observed. Nevertheless, I get up and down quite safely, and I'm surprised for a moment that, upon my arrival on the ground, I don't have any loss of breath from this quite stunning climb. I can only bask in this triumph briefly. As it turns out, I was spotted by a guard minding the wall. He approaches me quite quickly with gangly long legs. His strides could not be classified as walking or jogging, nor running. I thought it to be something much like speed walking, without the silly hip twisting. There was, however, a confidence alongside it, a frightening authoritarian quality to the movements. The guard reached me, looked me in the eye, and fined me $13, which I could easily pay. This, I reasoned to myself, is cheap, despite the absolute injustice to it. I find myself thinking that such a boundary, although perhaps useful for legality purposes, if crossed, hurt no one. So I made a mental note to tell others to work towards crossing such boundaries, and not waste their time looking for alternative routes. I guess it could have ended badly if I'd fallen. The wall.